Good afternoon. Well, it's cold here. We've had snow flurries, and the temperature's now in the low 40s. It was about freezing earlier. No wind and no snow. But look at the sky. If that isn't a snow sky, what is? So there are things that are good to talk about, but we have to examine them a little bit to see how good they are. For example, I'm a tree hugger of the first order. I am concerned about carbon emissions and all of those things that don't disturb those who have no interest in science. There's even a Flannery in Australia who writes on this subject. Beautiful writer and really great examples of why we should be concerned. But I don't expect any of the people here to read it who believe that it's all a hoax of some sort. But that said, President Biden has announced that we're going to have a carbon neutral government by the year 2050. Okay, that's a very good announcement. It does follow up and is consistent with his meeting with other nations. However, what are we going to be doing by 2022 and 2023 and so on that advances us toward that end game? Those of you who are used to, setting up a table of achievements, per diagrams and so forth like that, to get from point A to point B, know exactly what I'm talking about. And anybody who just makes a list for the store of what they're going to get is planning ahead. So talk is cheap. I'd like to know exactly dollars and cents how we're reducing our carbon footprint, okay? So that's what I'm a little concerned about. Years ago, and even now, and I've had this argument in the state, in Virginia, people talk about carbon sequestration. Well, that's a lot of nonsense. In other words, we get those carbon emissions and we push them right back into the ground at extraordinary expense, incomplete, and without regard for what we're doing to the layers of earth that we're doing this with. And no one's going to do it except as a model, because it's a way to delay the pathway to non-fossil fuels and to justify the continued profit and bad practices of the fossil fuel industry. So that's the way I look at it. And years ago when Obama ran, and I supported him and I was all for him, but all these politicians have this problem. Democrats, notwithstanding what they say about their Green Deal. And what Obama was talking about was clean coal. Oh, come on, and we still hear it. Why do we hear it? Because they're appealing to the fossil fuel people. If you want a real fossil fuel poster child, you just think a mansion. Bingo, there's a man. And that's why I'm opposed to him. He doesn't care what happens to the environment. He's got his deal and he's working it, and he's going to continue to work it. And he's compromised the entire Democratic caucus and the Senate because of this and other positions he's taken. So what else do we have? Well, I think we are on notice that among the things that are working, and if you haven't gotten your booster, do, because they say it's really very helpful with Omicron. I don't know how they're able to say it this quickly, but I guess the small sample they have is growing into a substantial number that lets them know that perhaps it's highly communicable, but is very helpful to not having really dire consequences if you catch the virus as a result of it. Another story that I enjoy is Meadows. Remember, Meadows was chief of staff for Trump. He was going to cooperate with the committee, the January 6th, the insurrection committee, the special committee. And then, I don't really want to do it. And there are a couple of reasons. One is, they don't say exactly what, but he was concerned that they were getting third-party information. Like, who would ever want to question Meadows' truth? Of course he would tell the truth. Not. And I suspect that there was a real question about what happened to his cell phone on January the 6th. Where was it? And they may have gotten that from the carrier. Now, carriers don't usually keep information that long. At least they say they don't. In my experience, going back a number of years, they've often had information that by, practice, they say they don't have. And I'm not talking about any duplicity there. How often do you clean out your desk? And on a bigger scale, it's really hard if you collect information to just give it up. And so I think that's part of it. Anyhow, he's going to be held in contempt, and that's good. And then we can start him down the second run. As you may know, Putin and our president, Biden, got together virtually. And I don't know that anything was accomplished. They went on for a couple of hours. We didn't agree to suppress the ambitions of Ukraine to join NATO. And I think we probably disappeared in a cloud of diplomatic gobbledygook, so maybe nobody knows what we agreed to. We did say something, according to the papers, that surprises me, which was there'd be no ground troops. Maybe that means we would be shooting from ships offshore. Maybe that means we're sending in, quote, advisors. That worked out well for Afghanistan. They collapsed instantaneously within hours when we finally did withdraw, as we said we would when Trump was the president. So I don't know that would intimidate Putin very much. And the other thing that Putin's concerned about is the pipeline that's not in place yet going from Russia to Germany. And this pipeline is important. And plainly, if there are hostilities, it's not going to happen. And it appears that this is more important to Russia than some other things. Also, the oligarchs who support Putin would be very upset if they were even further encumbered by what's going on. So there is some trade-offs that can be made. And there is a question whether the 90,000 troops were put there to intimidate us to sweeten the pot for Putin. I don't think our side has lost sight of that objective. Now, some of you may be interested to know that the Fox Christmas tree, you might call it a holiday tree, but we know what they call it, is it was set on fire. And I made some remark on Twitter about, I wonder if a real Christian did that because the devil had put up this tree. And then some other people said it's an artificial tree. So it's not like the one at Radio City, if that's true. And I have ambiguous feelings about cutting down a great tree for no good reason. But sorry, all you people who are getting Christmas trees. I've done it before. I don't think we're doing it this year. So I have been duplicitous in my intentions in years past, just because of my childhood experience to always have a Christmas tree. So, and Tiger Woods is returning to the circuit, and any of you out there may want to apply to be his driver, so that he can continue to play golf as he has, unhampered by bad driving himself or not paying attention to what he's doing. So that's what's on my mind right now. I'm sure I'm missing other things that I thought about during the day, but I think that's a good number of issues to play with. On with the games. Let's talk to you guys tomorrow. If you can get out, do. It's pretty pleasant here. I don't know how it is where you are. All the best. Bye-bye.